Hey guys, welcome back to Teal House Farm. First, I'm going to apologize for the mess back there. We are still working on our construction project of our new cabinets and they are not even close to done. So everything's kind of just piled up there to be out of the way because it was all over my kitchen counters. And today I want to can them, and we're going to can some dried black beans to have in our pantry. And so I needed to clear off all the counter space to make space for all the stuff for canning. And we're going to show you how we can the black beans here. It is so easy. You'll wonder why you've never done it before. So let's go ahead and get started. Get those things out of the way. We have our jars washed in hot soapy water. We're going to do pint jars here. So we're doing black beans today. You can do this for any kind of bean. Make sure they're level. Okay. And we're doing a half cup of the dry rinsed off beans per pint jar.
I'm gonna do this one.
You're being picky.
I want to do them in order.
So it's a half cup of black beans, go ahead, in each jar. I will say that this is not the USDA approved way. No, that's not an even scoop. Okay, now take this hand. Ready? This is not the USDA approved way of canning beans. So there are two things that I can that I don't do the recommended method, and it's beans and it's squash. Because, no, is that a full cup? Look at your cup. Is that full? Mm-hmm. Nope, you got to be precise. A whole half cup. Scoop really good.
How's this? Mommy!
So if you are new to canning, I would recommend looking up the USDA recommended and then making a choice. And that is our hot water ready to go in the jars. Okay, we're now going to add the hot water from the kettle to just below the first rim. Okay, then I'm just going to wipe down the rims with a clean, slightly damp towel here. And then we can put on our jar lids, which I have washed in hot soapy water. And then add our rings. So to review the steps, because it's super easy, but to review the steps real quick, we took our dried beans and we rinsed them real quick. And then we washed our jars in hot soapy water. I kept them warm in my oven because I didn't want to fill a cold jar with hot boiling water. It might explode on me. And then I put a half cup of beans into each of the pint jars. If you're going to do quart jars, you do 1 cup. And then I filled the jar with boiling water to just under this rim here. Now, again, this is not the USDA approved method. The USDA approved method tells you need to soak your beans overnight before you can them so they're partially rehydrated. I prefer this method. I feel like it's safe. You do not have to agree with me because you are going to put them in the canner for 75 minutes, which is an incredibly long time. And I feel like it gives me a better quality bean. Sometimes I feel like the rehydrated beans, they kind of fall apart by the time they get out of the canner because they've already been partially rehydrated. Then you run them through the canner for 75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts. It's a whole lot of cooking and a whole lot of pressure, and then your bean is just kind of like a mush. But when you do it this way, you get a really nice, fully cooked, canned bean that's close to what you get when you buy canned beans from the store. Now, why bother to home can beans? Well, for one, it's a lot cheaper. Once you already own your canner and, you're like me and you have jars coming out of your ears at this point now because you've been canning so long, it's actually cheaper, considerably cheaper to can beans. So I got 4 pounds of beans here. Sorry, I had to go and I wanted to double check my prices on the receipt, but I'm back. So I bought 4 pounds of beans and it cost me $6 for 4 pounds. And that is not nearly as cheap as you probably could get them if you went like Walmart. I bought these at the local little market we have here, which is higher priced than everything because it's far away from everything. And so I did not get a deal on these, to give you an idea of how much money you could be saving. So $6 for 4 pounds of beans. It's going to give me 20 pints. And all that divided up means I'm going to spend 30 cents. Each one of these cost me 30 cents to put together. And if you buy canned black beans at the store, you're looking at spending, where we are, about $1, somewhere between $1.20 and $1.50 a pint. So I'm saving more than $1 a pint. Not to mention the fact that other than the lid, I'm going to produce no waste. Where the canned beans, I have to figure out what to do with the can after I open it. We don't have recycling available, so it just goes in the trash can, which goes to landfill, and that's no good. So this, I can save the jar and reuse it. I do have reusable lids too. I'm not using them today, but I do that a lot when I can as well. So anyway, enough babbling. We're going to put the rings on these, put them in the canner for 75 minutes for these pints, and then we'll get them out, and I'll kind of give you some ideas too on what I use these for, because if you don't eat beans regularly, you might be kind of like, well, what am I going to do with 20 pints of black beans? So I'll give you some ideas on how we use them. Okay, canner is loaded. I'm double stacking it because I'm using pints. What that means is I have a layer of pints on the bottom on top of the bottom tray, and then I have a tray that came with my canner that goes halfway, sits on top of the first row of pints, and it's just an aluminum tray with holes in it for venting. And then I have another stack of pints on top of that. Lets me do, gosh, I think I have 17 in here, but don't quote me on that, I'm not good at counting. And I have a bunch of leftover beans because it should make 20 pints, but I can't quite fit 20 in here. So the leftover ones we'll use tomorrow actually, because I'm going to make a black bean baked enchilada dish. And that'll be coming out actually. We'll have a video. I'll show you how I make our tortillas out of sweet potatoes, which is something I've been doing lately because I cannot find any tortillas that Annie can have. They all have preservatives and stuff in there she can't have anymore. And so I've been making tortillas out of sweet potatoes basically, with some extra things added in so they stay together, and it's been great. But we'll use those leftover black beans in that enchilada bake, and I'll show you that in the video I have coming up about sweet potato tortillas, how I do it all. And it's a great Whole Foods and still very yummy and uses the beans. So anyway, we're just going to do our safety checks real quick. Making sure we can see the light through, making sure our gasket is still nice and rubbery. Run my finger on it, no tears or anything like that. It looks great. We're going to put it on here to line up the arrows. Sometimes they're hard to see. There we go. And we're going to spin it around so I can actually see the numbers. And we're going to let it vent for 10 minutes. That means we're going to wait until a chimney of steam is coming out for 10 minutes. Then we will drop our weight on. When it gets to 11 pounds pressure, then we will turn our timer on for 75 minutes. Have to keep it between 11 and 12 pounds pressure for that entire 75 minutes. Otherwise, we have to start over our timer, which we don't want to have to do. And then we get to turn the heat off, let it cool all the way down, and we'll see what we got. In the meantime, we're going to eat some dinner while we just let this do what it needs to do. jars and jars of black beans. Super easy, right? So again, like all my other canning videos, I'll tell you I'll store them on the counter here for about 24 hours. Then I'll take the rings off and put them in the pantry. Okay, check the seals, make sure that they are firm, and then I'll write the date on top. It's pretty clear what's inside. As far as using them goes, I mix beans in a lot with meat. So if a recipe calls for 2 pounds of meat for the size of our family, I'll do 1 pound meat, 1 pound black beans. And that kind of helps spread things out and gives us lots of protein without having to buy as much meat, because meat can get expensive. Even raising some of our own or buying it locally from a local farmer, meat is just a lot more expensive than beans, however you get it. So pop, 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 good sound. I use beans also, especially in the winter. I make a lot of soups for lunch, and I'll use beans as the protein instead of meat, so that it's a lot cheaper. I make chili, and I'll use my pre-canned beans and just dump them in a pot with some tomatoes and some chili seasoning and a little bit of meat. And again, super easy dinner because the beans are already cooked. And I've used beans a lot too in Mexican type bakes. I'll make that enchilada bake. We're gonna have that tomorrow night, so that recipe will be coming up for you to watch. Or I'll do an upside down taco pie, which is I'll use beans instead of taco meat. I'll just flavor them like I would the meat, and then you put corn and tomatoes and cornbread mix on top and bake that all together, things like that. So when you use beans and you start adding them into your diet, pretty quickly you'll discover that you can kind of just use them like you would use meat a lot of the times, and then it's going to save you so much money, because like I showed you at the beginning here, one of those pint cans cost me about 30 cents to put together. A pound of meat, it depends on the kind of meat, but you're gonna spend $4 or $5 a pound for hamburger. Obviously beans is a much cheaper choice. It's probably a little bit better for you, and it has lots of protein, which is good for you, and fiber, which is good for you too. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned how to can some black beans here. Now you can go and apply this rule to any beans in the bean family you would like to, any dried beans, doesn't matter the color. So thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you all next time.